doodly 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 do. Testing, 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 1, 2, testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Yay. Yay. Playlist. Okay, let's see. Okay, got a playlist here. Media files. Okay, let's see. I remember when 74 was a warm day. Oh my. Clear and sunny, clear and sunny. I am not a fan of clear sunny days. I'm not. I really never liked them. I haven't liked them since I was a kid. Because sunny days were an excuse for teachers and parents to throw you out of the house. Go outside and play. It's so healthy. You go outside. There's nothing there. To hear them talk about playing outside, you'd think you lived on the Main Street corner of Disneyland. Oh, go outside. You'll have so much fun. And you go outside, what is it? Nothing. And we always lived in a neighborhood with, like, juvenile delinquents in it that considered me and my sister a pair of kickballs. Yeah, it's no. They go, their idea of a fun outing was to go to some place. I remember one time they took us to a park. Now, when I think of a park, when I'm a kid, I think of a park, I think of swings and like teeter-totters and merry-go-rounds and things like that. You know, and stuff to do. And this park, it was just an open square of grass. I mean, there wasn't even trees for shade. Okay? There was no place to sit except right on the grass. There was no water fountain so you could get a drink. It was just and with blazing sun, not a cloud in the sky. So their idea of a fun outing for a child was to plunk them down like a bug on a microscope slide and just leave them there. Oh, go out and play. Use your imagination. Well, great. That's all we've got here. I'd love to go back in time, just take away their TV set and their newspaper and whatever book they were reading and their recliner and just leave them sitting in the middle of their front driveway. Oh, it's a beautiful day outside. Go outside and grown up. It's so good for you. Hang out with people you hate. I was always antisocial, man. I didn't need no help with that. They didn't make it too hard either, you know what I'm saying? All right. Let's see. Is testing, 1, 2, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't tell whether this is new or whether this is old or. Let's see here. Enable live chat. It doesn't let me put. It doesn't show a timestamp when people chat in the chat room. That's the thing of it. So I can't tell when the last time somebody spoke was. I don't know what it is with these people that designed this page. Let's put up a chat, let's put up a chat window and leave off most of the features that everybody uses. All right. New chapter of the Great Alicorn Hunt is up. I really don't want to do too much Lovecraft type stuff in this story, in this particular story arc. It was probably a mistake to start it off the way I did, but everybody Lovecraft. It just everybody just like just has a literary gasm when they see the name Lovecraft. Okay, look. I've read his stuff. It was verbose, ponderous, depressing, because there is no option but failure in all of his stories. And the dude was a steaming racist, and it came through in his stories. He regarded black people as, he is as less than human almost. He's just an unpleasant man. And this is from testimony from his own family, from his wife. He said he loathed people. And if he was surrounded by a crowd of people, especially of non-white races, he'd just stiffen up and freeze and close his eyes and wait until everybody had walked past before he would move again. He just he had as I understand, he was also a drug abuser. Of course, everybody was a drug abuser back then, it seems like. And just an unpleasant man. And he sneered at Christianity, and his characters were nothing. All his Lovecraft mythos was basically his evil demigod Mary Sue's. Okay, that's what it came down to. He was writing occult Mary Sue's. He's He would write passages where he sneered at the puny little white Christian god, and the dread awful Cthulhu could kick his butt at everything, and it's just an unpleasant man who wrote unpleasant stuff. The fact that in fact, most of the Lovecraft mythos was not invented by Lovecraft. It's stuff that was glommed on by fans and writers who picked up where he left off after he killed himself with a drug overdose. I forget whether it was suicide or a drug overdose. I think it was suicide by a drug overdose. Just a nasty man. Anyway, this is the reason the story of Old Man Henderson is like my favorite Lovecraft role-playing story ever. You gotta figure at least half of that Old Man Henderson story is complete bullpucky. He's got to be pulling it out of his rear end. But the picture of some guy going so far off the rails as a role player that he literally beats the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, literally derails, and he does it so irrevocably and so, absolutely by the rules that the dungeon master, who was a jerk apparently, literally flipped the table in fury and walked out, never to come back again. And I'm like, yes. Whoever you are, guy who invented Old Man Henderson, you are the wind beneath my wings. Truly. That's basically what Pinkamena is in my fanfic as Crapsack. She's basically Old Man Henderson to all the terrible fan fictions out there. for My Little Pony. That's her job, to just go in and wreck stuff and ruin the fan freak's day. I'm mean, I know it. I've got a mean streak a mile wide. I've cultivated it for decades. But anyway, it's there. It's up. It's there to be read. The latest chapter of The Great Alicorn. At least 2 chapters, actually, if I remember correctly. Did those over the weekend. I'm tempted to put a Patreon button up on my FimFiction page, but that's, risking it. So I won't. Anyway, let's see here. Okay. Oh, bugs. Alright. Okay, Daniel Myers AFK. Everybody else, we got 4 people sitting here. Yay! Hello. And, let's see here. Now, ow, 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 ow. There goes my elbow. Got people popping up in the oh, what was it? Oh, my brain just stopped and skipped a groove. Trying to think of what I was thinking of just a minute ago. Doesn't matter where the forums popped up. Got a couple of people who started coming up. The topic, there's a fan fiction on FimFiction called Unity. It's about Ponyville and a human town get plucked out of their respective worlds and dropped on another world, where apparently aliens or some alien force has been abducting entire towns and plopping them down on this planet. For what purpose, they're trying to figure out. And in the recent chapter, they came across a town that had been abducted from Germany during World War II. It was the Nazis. And it was a Nazi community right there. And got into a big discussion about how one of the characters says that the ponies ask, what were these were bad humans? And he says, and one of the characters says possibly the worst, most evil group of people that ever existed. And some guy who was apparently German took offense to that. He pointed out that there are other regimes out there that were even more horrible than the Nazis. And he's right. He's really right. The Nazis, during their brief period of about, 1938 to 1945, maybe give or take a year, They killed over 11 million people in their death camps. The Soviet Union, well, basically the communist regimes collectively, the Soviet Union, the Chinese communists, and so on and so forth, have killed 94 million of their own people. Saddam Hussein killed 500,000 of his own people during his regime. And the Muslims, well, just since September 11th, the Muslims have racked up 25,000 deadly terror attacks around the world. So yeah, there are of course you're getting is who is more evil. Mass murdering groups. Let's just say they're all terrible. The thing of it is that quite frankly, the Nazis get mentioned so much is because, probably speaking, it was probably the last time that the world rallied to put down a great and terrible evil. Nowadays, though, even when you get a coalition together, you've got entire nations who are dither, who bumble around, or who demonstrate their moral cowardice, even in the face of unspeakable evil. But quite frankly, it's simply that thanks to the timing and this is the first time we're talking a major war that was filmed and recorded and photographed to such an extent, and all that information brought back to the people. The battle lines, unlike World War I, the battle lines were very clear. We knew who the good guys were. We knew who the bad guys were. And there was no ambiguity about our place in this battle. And so the Nazis became, well, the gold standard, if you will, of evil. The thing of it is that people have forgotten that the Nazis weren't just evil because they were racist. That's a big thing to forget. Forget that racism was motivated by their sociopolitics. They were a national socialist organization. They were a collectivist. They aspired to a totalitarian collectivist state. The only difference between what they wanted and what Karl Marx wanted is that Marx wanted a completely classless society. And imagine that the whole world would inevitably become this, socialist commune with no races, no nations, none of that. He was very John Lennon in his time. But the Nazis, they had a vision of retaining their national and racial identity, declaring it superior, and then ruling the rest of the world from their elevated status. But otherwise, their politics, their economics, their philosophy about property and ownership and human freedoms and rights were no different from the socialists or the communists. Everybody remembers the racism. Everybody remembers the racism against the Jews. People forget that of the 11 million people who died in the death camps, 6 million were Jews. The rest were largely Christians, gypsies, and various nationalities, as well as the handicapped, so on and so forth. Nearly half of the people who died in the death camps died for something other than being a Jew. And oh my. Yeah, it sucked to be a Jew in Nazi Germany. It wasn't too much better to be an Aryan because you were a slave of the state. Your property belonged to the government. You were a slave to the state. You were to be executed if you showed any signs of dissent, like owning a Bible or not owning a copy of Mein Kampf. Oh, it was batshit. It was just as batshit crazy as it is right now up in North Korea. Well, then you got anyway, a bunch of people jumped in. Oh well, I pointed out that the Nazis weren't just evil because they were racist against Jews. They were racist against everybody. They were ableist. The first things they started were abortion and euthanasia. Then they didn't bother, with abortion. They just killed babies outright. Any half breed, anybody who was black or half black, executed. Anybody who was disabled physically or mentally, executed. They were I pointed out they were anti-Christian. And the moment I said that, oh no, oh, Adolf Hitler was, he had a blessing of the Roman Church, and on their uniforms they said, "God be with us." And yeah, well, Hannibal Lecter had coins in his pocket that said, "God bless America." That doesn't mean a dang thing, It's called, I put in, it's called propaganda. They were taking over a nation from the inside. Of course, they were going to wear whatever trappings fooled the common people into not recognizing them for what they were. Well, basically, like you'll remember when Bill Clinton got caught out with Monica Lewinsky. First thing he did was show up the next Sunday at a local church with camera crews and with a great big black Bible under his arm, and a camera crews tagging along behind, snapping shots of the devout Christian leader of the United States. questions to be raised. Okay, I'm sort of hitting my drag point right now. I'm gonna get up in a minute and get another get an energy drink or something, try and keep myself perked up a little. But really, I like a little feedback on the latest chapters in the Sand Fanfiction. Of course, you had this other one, you know, of course, comment in the, oh, this would be terrible if you had, everybody had eternal life, you know, death defines life, blah, 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 blah. I didn't bothering with this idiot. I just said, oh, you think, oh, how nice for you. You think that death fulfills your life. You first. I had people, yeah, that's about right. There you go. It's interesting, all these people who say that death is such a beautiful part of the, you know, circle of, you know, of life and all that, you know, it's, you know, vital balance and cosmic meaning and blah, 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 blah. It's always somebody else that they want to croak. Oh, no, 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 no. You want to die today? Oh, no, no, no. It's not my time yet. I'm going to guess you don't want to die tomorrow either. Well, by transitive property, we can safely conclude, going day by day, that yes, indeed, you want to live forever. Being a Christian, I'm happy to say I have a guarantee of that. And as a Christian, I have a commission to share that with everyone I can. And no, we're not talking metaphorical eternal life either. Someday Christ is going to return and set up his earthly kingdom. And we are going to be immortal. We are going to live forever in new material flesh and blood bodies. This is not some, you know, when we say eternal life, this is not some metaphor for flitting around on a cloud in happy hoo-ha land up in heaven. No. Jesus came to defeat sin, literally, and he came to defeat death itself, literally. So you can understand my perspective when it comes to the idea of discovering, for instance, the fountain of youth. Everybody else that writes about, you know, discovering the fountain of youth, oh, we got to be careful, that make sure that only the right people find this, and oh, this would be a terrible thing if it was to get out. My ass is like, bitch, where's my bottling plant? You know, same question. Which is better, to hurt or to heal? Are we put on this earth to do good or to do harm? Which is better, death or life? Life! No, but we don't want the wrong people to get hold. Oh, so you think you're the right people and these people over here don't deserve it? Right. Well, they don't deserve immortal life. That's the point. That's the whole point. We don't. So we'd better get off our high horse and not judge other people who want to accept it. Jesus didn't come to die for the deserving. And I would no more withhold the secret of eternal youth from other human beings. I mean, that's the panacea. I would not withhold that from the rest of the world any more than I would feel self-righteous about withholding the cure for cancer. I don't care who gets it. We are all sinners in the eyes of God. The wicked would, yes, the wicked would live longer and do more evil, but they would also be given more chances to repent. And the good would live as well. No. Death is not good in any form. It's a tragedy. One that God never intended to be a design and part of the design of His universe, and it's our fault that it's there, and that He is willing to extend eternal life to us anyway, if we accept the sacrifice He made for us. That says everything we need to know about judging whether somebody else is worthy. Anyway, off that point, I'm like when a doctor finds a person dying on the floor, his Hippocratic oath is, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you are. You're my patient. You're on this table, and you have never been safer. I will fight to the end to keep you alive. Can you dig where I am coming from? I hope so. I didn't deserve the grace I received, so I don't have the right to decide whether somebody else deserves the grace I have been given to hand out. Now, back to the point. All right. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to that, the thing that I have to think of, God have mercy on me, a sinner. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta go tinkle. Be right back. Just Hello, 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 hello. Sorry I took so long. Oh, I'm aching. I'm aching. I'm stiff. My back hurts. My arm hurts. Stiff and sore. Unpleasant. Okay, actually, the Dugar thing, that's referring to the earlier scandal where they found out that, where it came out that one of their sons had sexually assaulted, when he was 14, he had sexually assaulted a couple of his sisters. And they had, the family had found out, and they had, I forget what all they did. They sent him to some sort of reform camp or something, and therapy. Just the usual drama all around. And then the press found out about it, and they practically spronged wood so hard they nearly flipped over the news desk. Okay, as to Flash Sentry being in the Great Alicorn Practical, that's his thing. That's supposed to be his thing. Twilight Sparkle is, office managerial type stuff. That's her thing. Bookkeeping, record keeping, information, library sorting, that kind of thing. And she's very, very good. She's OCPD. Yes, there is a difference between OCD and OCPD. Stop using OCD to refer to Twilight Sparkle. She's not OCD. If she was washing her hooves 20 times a day or having to perform rituals to walk through every door, that would be OCD. OCPD is basically what she is. They're different. They sometimes, they tend to show up together in the same person. A person who has OCPD will tend to be OCD, or vice versa. But not always, and they're not the same condition. It's a pet peeve. My take on Flash Sentry is that he's basically the opposite of her. He's terrible at bookkeeping. He's terrible at all the at all the record keeping and paperwork and all the other stuff, that's all that meticulous stuff that goes into, well, being in charge of anything. But he is he's the opposite of Twilight. He's got tons of street smarts, and he knows how to prepare for real. OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. OCPD is obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Why they use those two terms, I don't know. But Twilight is OCPD. She's not OCD. Obsessive compulsive is where you have like you have obsessive thoughts and you have compulsions that you have to do, like washing your hands over and over is the most common example. Flipping a light switch, checking a light switch 5 times before leaving a room. Touching every book on a shelf before you can move to the next one. That kind of thing. A person with OCD knows that their compulsions are irrational. That's the thing. A person with OCD knows that this urge, this compulsion to do these things is irrational. But the urge is so intense that they can't resist. And it's a source of confusion and frustration and shame because they can't control it. Now, somebody who is OCPD, That's Twilight. Obsessed with details, obsessed with making rules, obsessed with rules, obsessed with making lists. Very difficult to get their minds changed. Everything has to be a certain way. And the key is somebody with OCPD goes around thinking that they're the normal ones and everybody else has the problem. They go, doggone, if everybody would just use my shelf sorting system of sorting by letter, color, number, blah 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 blah, then everything would work fine. If people would just put if everybody in our family would just put the vacuum cleaner on the left side of the closets instead of the right side of the closets, or God forbid in the middle, everything would be perfect. And I wouldn't be so stressed out. Which is Twilight Sparkle to a T. She thinks that she's, she thinks that everybody else isn't doing it properly. Beginning in it. And in The Great Alicorn Hunt, the reason for that, the reason I give for that is because, the reason that she's that way is because of Celestia's cryptic mentor tendencies. Celestia always being enigmatic and putting these little tests on her, and the only way that Twilight could cope with the stress was to turn into a control freak, to try and give herself an illusion of control over the situation. I will say this, the Crystal Empire episode, it was fairly recently that somebody pointed out something that I overlooked about that. And, I went back and edited my story to take it into account. Is that the worst thing about Celestia making the Crystal Empire a test is that she deliberately told her OCPD student to ignore all the friendship lessons she had had to that point, and and basically told her to do the exact opposite of everything she had learned. No, you have to do this yourself. You can't rely on your friends for this. You have to do this. You must solve this all by yourself. And of course, Twilight nearly blows a fuse over it. And and the only reasons that she's able to handle it is because she bends the rules enough to let her friends come along and help out with other things while she tries to fix everything. Because if Twilight Sparkle had putting somebody like Twilight in that situation where the only way she can succeed at her task is to fail the test by disobeying her mentor, okay, did lesson 0 come before or after the Crystal Empire? Because that would explain a lot. I had Arthur in the audience read Celestia the Riot Act over that one too. I mean, I love the show, but when they get something wrong, they get it really, really wrong. Anyway. But yeah, it was in Parting Words and was also in the audience. Anyway, I hated, I love the idea of the Crystal Empire. I get annoyed with all the people. Oh, the ponies are made of crystal. Yeah, and the Earth ponies are made of dirt. Move on. They're not. Stop that. And but anyway, she's seen. Celestia has seen what can happen if her student is pushed too far. Snapola. What does she do? She doubles down. This is the whole reason I wrote Parting Words. And it's also the reason that in the Great Alicorn Hunt, Celestia, when they find, when they get the magic box from the crystal tree, Celestia hires Daring Do to figure out what the box is and to open it by any means necessary. Because, they figure out, it's supposed to be some sort of morality play, object lesson test. And Celestia has finally learned, after nearly losing Twilight forever, she's finally learned that being a mentor doesn't automatically mean you have to be cryptic. In fact, it's a bad idea. Anyway, but I just like she's like, bleep this noise. we're not playing this game anymore. Yeah. Of course, Celestia has other things on her mind at the moment. Dropping a hint there, not going to tell you too much. No, I'm just going to say that the crystal ponies are made of flesh and blood, the same as any other of the pony races. It's supposed to be their coats that are sparkly. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of Lovecraft mythos in there, but not very much. I don't like Lovecraft. I don't like Lovecraft, and I don't like his mythos. It's the horror genre, which makes him, just that by itself makes him the biggest prat to ever pick up a pen. That and the fact that he was also just noxious racist even by the standards of his time. Had serious mental problems, suicidal, and a drug user in his later years. Of course, everybody was abusing something back then. The only time I like to use Lovecraft's mythos is so that I can pimp slap his little bitch characters around. You recall that I essentially had Quentin kick Cthulhu's butt when he was still in the village. Pardon. No. It's just. Oh, I don't know. Let me think. I do that because I do it for the same reason that I picked on Star Trek. I love the squealing noises that the fans make. Cthulhu's not like that. Wee. You dissed our Mary Sue. Wee. No, I don't know anything about what's going on with the other Nick's writer on Film Fiction. Praising him for his skepticism. Oh, yeah. I don't even know who he is. I don't even know who you're talking about. I don't know I don't know how he got banned. I don't know what. I reported one guy yesterday because he just got nasty. Just nasty insults on me. So I just, boop, done. I don't know. I don't know who he is. That probably drives him crazier than anything else. The fact that I don't even remember his name. But there you go. Kruger, why would I want to know? Currently, with me not knowing, he's some annoying abstraction that has had absolutely no effect on my personal life. If I go tracking down his name and finding out all the nasty things he's supposed to have said about me, I'm giving him more of my time in life than I'm willing to give up. And this is his goal in the first place. He's an attention whore. Look, when you go, there's a certain point where if you go after somebody you've gotten a rivalry with, you're just. I've had. You remember Archaeop? I don't know if any of you were from the old days of my website. There's a fellow by the name of Arch. His character was an Archaeopteryx, Archie something. And he, just, let's put it this way. He made me look civilized and cultured. But I finally, kicked him out. And he went out, made a hate site about me. And I had to ban him from my website. I had to ban him from the forums. I had to ban him from my blog because he was damn set and determined that he was going to aggravate he was just going to aggravate the fudge out of me, no matter what. And finally, when he couldn't find any way to get at me and harass me anymore personally, he posted up a blog that was dedicated to talking about what a prick I was. And literally, that was the whole, I forget what he called it. Ben Bruin is a jerk or something. So what was the point of me following around, finding out what he was up to? Was I going to be able to stop him? No, obviously not. I certainly, I obviously managed. I think I came out of the, in conference with Archie, I came out on top because I drove him up the wall by ignoring him. That doesn't work with everyone. It doesn't work with dogs, small children, or certain types of people. But when it works, it's so lovely when it does. Because you can almost hear the veins popping in their skull like bubble wrap. I'm probably following him. I follow a lot of readers. I follow a lot of writers. Look, I want to read a story. I use the follow in order to keep track of any other stories from that author. It doesn't mean I'm riding along on his coattails on his cult of personality. So he's got a hate boner for me. Big surprise. I do recall that somebody did something that was outrageous enough that the mods stepped in and banned him before I even knew what was going on. So there you have it. Pardon. Still haven't made that cross-reference table. Excuse me. Oh, great, he's such a persecuted martyr because he got banned from somebody's comment. Hey, welcome to America. Welcome to the 21st century, where being a member of a victim class, no matter how petty or trivial, makes you a martyr and a hero. Latest episode of My Little Pony, the one with Rarity. I sat down and watched it. I skipped the musical numbers. Really, I'm not big on musical numbers. I'm not. It takes a very particular, very rare song to really catch my attention and get me to sit down and listen to it. But otherwise, the episode was, this is what happens when design meets marketing. That was my thought. And I could relate to some extent, the creative person, to be productive, has to be inspired. They're at the creative person at their most productive when they are inspired. But in order to survive in the marketplace, they have to often resort to cranking stuff out. And this is why so many web cartoonists burn out. Why so many online artists and writers and cartoonists and other things just burn out. Because they haven't mastered the art of creating, of being inspired on command. I don't really know of anybody that has. But if you're going to be an artist, you have to be your own businessman. You have to be able to knuckle down, buckle down, do it. And sometimes that means sending stuff out that disappoints you, or that or just grinding away at some grueling thing, and until you've popped out enough to pay the bills. And if you lose, if you go on too long, like that, burnout. You just you can't even stand to pick up a pen or touch a keyboard or pick up a thread needle or pick up a paintbrush anymore. Rarity obviously never considered the idea that one of the commenters pointed out that each Rarity and whatever her assistant's name was, they both had flaws. They both had flaws in their in their plans. Rarity was not prepared to deal with the idea that some people would just want more of the same, or to deal with the fact that the heft of her work would probably involve producing dozens of copies of the same thing whenever a fad came up. Her assistant, going by the fact that she had bombed out in 3 other boutiques, she's obviously a skilled marketer and businesswoman, but she didn't quite get that you have to diversify your portfolio. While that dress was hot and selling like hotcakes, what happens when the fad passes? It not only means that you stop selling that dress or product, it means that you can't sell anything else, because first off, nobody wants what you're known for anymore, your signature whatever. And nobody thinks, anything else that you bring out is going to be tainted by that association. They're going to think, oh, this is another mass-produced thing that we're all going to be sick of in 5 minutes. And once again, this is an example of people in the business knowing the business. This is somebody writing from experience. You can tell. Whenever they write Rarity, whenever they really, really write Rarity, Dress for Success, whenever they write about Rarity doing her business, Rarity Takes Manhattan, Dress for Success, and this recent one, they get the conflicts that a creative person goes through. I mean, because these, the people that are working on this thing, these are all creative people: writers, artists, cartoonists, illustrators, animators, programmers, and they know all the pitfalls. They know what can happen if you are too trusting of people in the industry. They can stab you in the back. They know that if you put too much emphasis on your marketing, you can kill your creativity. And vice versa, though they didn't touch as much on that. They know what a pain in the ass customers can be. When she was making those dresses, and that's the thing of it, is that people go out, they hire an artist, they hire an illustrator, they hire a writer, they hire a web page designer, or an architect or whatever, and they hire this person for their expertise. And then they come in and they ignore that person's expertise. They ignore the fact that, no, you're not the artist. You get this problem with every creative customer. Once they pee in it, they like the flavor better, so they buy it. That's generally a term that's a phrase generally used for publishing editors by a writer, but it can apply to just about any person who employs a creative individual. There's this impulse to stick your finger in the pie. And there isn't a, believe me, everything you've suggested, every no matter how you do it, they've heard it before. Okay. There are web pages like nightmare stories. These customers always right websites where they list off all these encounters, these artists and designers and web page constructors. They have people come in and demanding the stupidest things, or asking, just asking things that were so ridiculous that the artist just sat there and stared at them like they'd sprouted a second head. It needs to be 20% cooler, that kind of thing. When they write, but backing up is when the writers of My Little Pony write an episode about Rarity and her ambitions and her dreams and her business, they tend to get it very, very right. Because this is, their territory. They know what it's like to have impossible customers, to be racked between your need for inspiration and your need to make a buck. They know what it means to see something that was such an inspiration was turned into a treadmill. They know what it means to have to constantly be on your guard, so that people who are supposedly your friends don't take advantage of you. I'm wondering what her next episode is going to be like. When their what their next. I'm pretty sure the next episode. I believe it's this coming Saturday, but I haven't looked yet at the synopsis. But I don't think they're going to do another boutique themed episode. They might, but it'll still be interesting to tell when the next time they do. Anyway, let's see here. Oh, two more? So, 3 in a row, huh? Nice. They ought to ban gender studies from colleges. They really do. That's gender studies. What the hell is that? It's a useless non-course that takes up space and does nothing but stroke egos. It doesn't teach them anything productive or or useful. It teaches them nothing but biases and feminist rhetoric and skewed, perverted interpretations of everything from society to history. It's not an it's a propaganda mill. It has no place in a college or any other institution of learning. Gender studies should be, fine, let's have gender studies. They want to have gender studies, oh, equality, equality, we want our gender studies. Fine, great, uncredited. You want a diploma, you have to actually learn something. Women sign up for gender studies because they think it's a free diploma. They go in, they're dumb enough to think that they can get this free diploma. Oh, hey, women's studies. I'm a woman. I know all this crap already. Sure, I'll spend 4 years having my ego stroked. They go in and they spend 4 years, waste it, come out and they got a diploma, and they're astonished that the diploma is good for absolutely nothing. And what is their response? They're angry at the world for not making jobs, having them ready-made and waiting for them when they get out of their gender studies. Higher education has become a fraud. It's one of the biggest scams ever inflicted upon people in history. They spend their high school years saying, get the diploma, get the diploma, get the diploma, get the diploma. And telling kids that if you get the diploma, what? Do you want to flip burgers for a living? So the kid goes out and he gets a diploma. And surprise, unless you have a diploma in a very narrow field of expertise, which can and does change from generation to generation. Unless you have a diploma in those very narrow fields, you're out on the curb. They spend the first 18 years of your life telling you, chase your dreams. What's the point of making money if you don't do what fulfills you and follow your dreams and all this? So you can get a diploma. That means you'll make more money. And you don't want to flip burgers, do you? And then they get out. And even for ones with STEM field diplomas, there's almost no jobs. and they're standing there, and they've got this $250,000 spent on a diploma in their hands. And the older generation is standing around calling them lazy because they do not want to try and pay off their this huge educational debt with a part-time job by flipping burgers. You know, how dare we? How dare we actually believe their rhetoric? How dare we think that that thousands and thousands of dollars spent on a diploma means that we are worth a little bit more than minimum wage an hour, and that we might be competent for something besides serving food to the thundering herd outside the front door. It wasn't us that it wasn't the kids coming out of college that came up with the disdain for doing drudge work for a living. It was their parents and their educators. Well, you don't want to end up flipping burgers for the rest of your life. Go to college. Go to college. Go to college. Get a diploma. Get a diploma. Don't worry. The government will pay for everything. And they'll loan you the rest at reasonable rates. An entire generation, probably 2, maybe even 3 entire generations who got shafted out of the American dream. We live in an age where promises were delivered and not, promises were made and not delivered on. That old song by Billy Joel, Allentown, about how they came back from the World War and they thought, they'd been promised that they had a pretty good shot at getting at least as good as their old man got. And that something happened on the way to that place. They took the American flag and threw it back in our face. I get tired of hearing people saying, well, it's their own fault for not bettering themselves. I like to point out that it's kind of hard, when you're up to your ass in alligators, it's kind of hard to drain the swamp. Well, they can go out and take college courses, and they can take industrial courses, and they can take this course and that course, and who's going to be doing the job while they're doing that? I hate to break it to you, there are people out there that work 2 or 3 part-time jobs and just to try and make ends meet. When one person has to work 2 jobs just to pay the bills, do they realize how horrifying it sounds to say, a job is, they're saying a minimum wage job isn't meant to be lived on? You're saying a job is not meant to be lived on? Now, the answers that these kids have, the answers that these Occupy Wall Street communist pushed movement are coming up with, they're garbage. Their solutions are a disaster, that they want are a disaster in the making. But the fact that their solutions are crap doesn't change the fact that there is a real problem. And the problem is not laziness. Oh, I'm sure there's tons of them out there that are lazy. I'm sure there's tons of laziness going around. Don't you dare stand at a counter in a McDonald's, thumping the counter saying, when's my food coming out? That person behind the counter has spent at least 4 to 8 hours scraping grease off of things, standing over a sweltering fryer, running back and forth, making sure that the store outside is spick and span and spotless, hauling trash, they're basically doing all the work that you fat sorry ass, are unwilling to do yourself in order to fix a meal. And then some. And then your way of thanks is to give them just give them as much shit as you can, because the customer is always right, and they're just a lowly burger flipper who needs to be slapped into their place. For no other reason, it's just how stupid you are that you're standing there insulting somebody who can spit into your food. How dare you think that the job that you're working should pay enough to make going there worthwhile? I've held jobs that they cut, I've held part-time jobs, they cut back the hours to the point where it's almost not worth the gas to even show up. Excuse me. Fading in and out again. Another little shot of energy drink. This is a pet peeve for me. I'm a conservative. I'm the typical stone-hearted conservative. Doggone, I got sick of all these people posting these. This soldier only makes so many dollars an hour, and you want $15 an hour for flipping burgers? Okay, you're not proving to me that the burger flipper is greedy. You're proving to me that you're a selfish, stingy bastard who won't pay a soldier enough to justify him going out in the battlefield. These soldiers only make $15 an hour, and my question is, why aren't you paying them more? Go back and try again. Now look at all these protesters with their iPhones and their Nike sneakers and all this other stuff. Okay. That to a point I can see. You get people out there protesting how they're being empowered, and they got all the latest whiz-bang toys. But you got these people out here say, oh, most households have television sets, and they have, and most of the people there, they have cell phones, and yet they're on welfare. Big frickin' deal. You can't eat a TV set. I got a TV set. It's been sitting in, just collecting dust in a corner, but I've had it for a long time. Big frickin' deal. And I hate to mention how important a computer or a cell phone or a running vehicle is to trying to either find work or maintain your income. Quit implying that people aren't going through hardship simply because that they've accumulated some of the cheap techno junk debris that literally floats around us in a cloud in our current society. Angers me. If look, I'm a conservative. I'm on the side of saying no, this solution is wrong. Minimum wage raising is wrong, and we could fix this so much better if we went to where the problem is, namely the government and its high taxes and its stupid spending. But I'm already on your side, and you're losing me. Okay? Do you get that? I agree with you, and you're managing to piss me off. This is a so brilliant approach on winning over the new generation. Old people. Pardon. You want to win over the new generation. You are going to have to work harder at it, and insulting them because they've hit the rocky shores and they don't know how to cope. You're not going to win any of them over. You're just going to make enemies of them. Why should they think that you're on their side when you talk to them like they're shit. Yes, all these protesters out there in the street in Occupy Wall Street, they have all these expensive, big deal. That stuff is, that stuff is alley trash in our society. Everybody, oh, he has a cell phone. Where does he get off? Shut up. Any tosspot with $20 can go out and get a cell phone. You're not making an argument. You're not making an argument. You're losing it. The correct approach is, yes, you're angry. You've been shafted. You were promised. You were given all sorts of promises, and they all fell through. And you want to, and here is why they fell through. And here are the people who are really responsible, not the corporations, not the companies, not the taxpayers, but the government that is snorkeling up all the money and basically throwing it down a toilet. Just why is it so hard for the people to figure? Why is it so hard for conservatives to figure out that they need to explain this? Why is it so hard for conservatives to figure out? They need to. These people out there, they need to understand this. Why can't we figure out how to make it obvious, how to make it clear, how to speak clearly and reach these people? Still dozing off. Sorry, folks, did it again. I'm sorry, I do this all the time. I reach this point in the night and I start dozing off over and over again. I've been napping in the middle of the day. I've been drinking energy drinks at the beginning of the show to try and boost myself a little bit, taking a little more caffeine. Uh, kind of, yeah, kind of aggravating. Oh goodness. But such is life. You scratch to get by until that final day, and then you give an accounting of how we did. I have to reconsider my broadcast time. Maybe I may end up doing it earlier in the day or early in the morning, even. Just anything to break up this sleep cycle. You have no idea how unfun it is to be opening up, look for the fresh bananas in your lunchbox, and just open up your fridge or whatever, and you're looking for your nice ripe banana. And up at top of the fridge, you've put some nice ripe ones 2 decades ago, and I've never seen a banana so rotten that it was liquefied. So, it's a constant struggle, no matter what you do. And the older you get, the harder it is to keep up the fight. The things that you took for granted when you were 20 or 30 or even 35, they're not there anymore. The fact you could pull an all-nighter and then get up and work a full 8-hour day afterward and not need any special consideration, that's long gone. Mm-hmm. not working. I've chugged 2 energy drinks. Load of Coca-Cola. He's doing Coke! Yeah, man. It's really hard snorting all that liquid through a straw. Don't do Coke, kids. Switch to Pepsi. Okay, that was wrong. I've been trying to get enough sleep at night. I have, trying to get at least 6 hours. But, just really not sleeping well, I guess. I don't know. Might have to start dragging that oxygen tank out again and horking and snorking my way through the night. Oh, woo! Let's see, what's latest in the news? Okay, let's see here. News. Oh, yeah. Europe is getting overrun by Syrian quote-unquote refugees. These assholes, and there's no other word for it. It's mostly men, okay? When they're real refugees, the women and children get out first. In this case, the women and children are being left home, and the men are all coming. Oh, interesting thing, they caught one of the boats that was supposedly carrying supplies for the refugees. Turned out to be loaded full of guns. ISIS bragged that they were going to get, they said 500 Muslim terrorists into America. Obama is out there saying we need to welcome 10,000 Syrian refugees into the country. He's out there making it easy for them. He's on their side. This man would have been shot. And not by a firing squad. Somebody in Congress, somebody in his own administration would have, in an earlier era, they wouldn't have waited for a trial. They would have turned around, pulled a gun out, and shot this man as a traitor. He's done everything except tattoo the words, "I am a traitor to this country," across his forehead. But we live in a society where people are out there pretending that a white woman is black, that another one is a Native American, and that a white man is actually a woman. We live in the land of make-believe. If I had an answer, would anybody listen to me? Would anybody execute it? more I go, the more I'm out of juice. I'm just tanked out. I don't dare drink any more energy drink. I'm already. This is really not good. It just isn't. I may try switching the time the show is on. We'll see. I'll have to think it over. Okay, I can't. Okay, I do this a lot anymore. I know I do, but it's the truth. And really, it's no good if I'm just falling asleep at the keyboard in the middle of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night for this night's broadcast. I want to thank you all for listening and for being patient, and I hope something I said was edifying or at least entertaining. Again tomorrow, we'll probably be debating several more issues as time goes by. Thank you again, and you all have a nice day. You all take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Pray for each other. And throw a prayer in for me too, because God knows we need them all. We all need them. Have yourself a good night.